This podcast is rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Some material may not be suitable for children.
Mission 250.
Welcome to the Mission 250 Filmcast, where we are watching the best movies ever made, according to IMDb. This one included, even though it wasn't on the list when we froze it. I'm one of our hosts, Sandy, and joining me are...
John?
And, some other asshole.
Yep. And
That's right.
we're doing so we watched Three Idiots a couple weeks ago, and now we're doing Dangal, 2016 movie.
Dangal.
Dangal.
And it was happy, and Three Idiots was happy, and we enjoyed being happy, and
Yes,
so we were
and
hoping
like,
to be
wow,
happy again.
we like Aamir Khan. He seems to be 100% success rate with us liking it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
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 So we decided to watch this movie because it is the highest grossing Indian movie of all time. It was produced by Aamir Khan and stars Aamir Khan.
And
And
I
you
heard
know-
the highest grossing sports film in the world.
Yeah,
Wow.
records galore on this one. But the synopsis is former wrestler Mahavir and his two wrestler daughters struggle towards glory at the Commonwealth Games in face of societal oppression. And this week, TC.
All
Use your
right.
turn to go
This is the perfectly mindless, fun fucking movie, perfect for Terrence Mulhern.
Yeah!
It's exactly what I need.
See,
You know,
good.
something you don't have to watch, but still want to watch. You know, that type of
Wow,
shit.
that's a fine rope to balance right there.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I like this one. I liked it quite a bit. For one, I got to start with he's jacked. When did he
He's
become so jacked?
ripped.
He was
Dude.
ripped and then fat. I mean,
And then
he did
fat.
all-
It was
he did
like-
all.
He was like he got ripped, and then after he did the scene where he was ripped, he became fat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was
Right?
he was
Yeah.
the fittest of any human has ever been for like 30
Yeah.
seconds of this movie, and then he's
Yeah.
fat for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was like, holy shit! I
I
didn't
thought it
even
was
recognize
CG,
him.
dude. I thought it was CG.
Oh, yeah. No.
My roommate was like, "That's not him." I'm like, "That's him." And my roommate's his family's from Sri Lanka, so he knows. He's got the Indian culture. He knows. He knows Aamir Khan, and he is.
He
like,
knows his
"That's not
body when
him."
he sees it. He's like, that's
He's like, "That's
definitely
not
him,
him,
man.
He's like, "I watched Lagaan. That's not him." I'm like, "Yeah, that's fucking him."
I've seen his bare chest multiple times before. That's not fucking him.
That's not him.
Yeah,
He
that's
doesn't
true.
have the little Goldberg things on the shoulder. It's
Yeah.
not him.
Yeah. I did
Yeah.
recognize him right away. I mean, even as he was old in the older look, like when they had some flashbacks of him being younger, it's like, that's him.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, but no, it was
was
a
him.
transformation. It was pretty well done.
Yeah, I was also never thought about wrestling before. It's not a thing that I've,
Not real
WWE,
wrestling, not
WWF,
Yeah.
you're damn
not
right.
real wrestling. No,
But
that's something,
real
and I would
wrestling,
have not thought it would be something I would like to watch at all.
So I was definitely sitting there squirming while they were wrestling. You know,
Nice.
like I realized that like my legs were moving and my feet were tense, and I'm like, fuck, move, just turn, there he goes, oh, he's got him,
Nice.
she's got him, oh
Nice catch.
shit, I'm clapping and shit, like
Oh, wow. Awesome.
man. And also, as you both know, I'm a huge fan of, South Asian territory. I like a lot of their culture.
Yeah.
And specifically, I like their women. But anyways,
Yes.
I think that's still okay to
Yeah.
say. Maybe in 3 years you can't say that, but that's fine.
You know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful culture, and I honestly, I kind of like the way Hindi sounds too. I just feel like it sounds nice.
I
It's
agree
don't know
with
like
that.
why.
melodic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just sounds like it's not.
It's like
I won't-
smooth,
yeah.
but it like has punctuation in the smoothness
Yeah,
somehow.
right. And their inflections are funny, and they're good. And it works when they're telling the jokes. Like it still translates, And I don't know. I just like the culture. I like the people. I like a lot of things about South Asia area, and so this it was good. I don't know. It's good.
Nice.
There's nothing
Yeah.
there's nothing crazy amazing about the filmmaking. It's very much a cool root for the fucking underdog, Rocky-esque type.
It's well
movie.
done. Like
And
it's very well crafted. I think in terms of like the direction and the cinematography. Even it's not necessarily like there's anything that says, "Hey, look at me," but man, it feels really smoothly done.
It does. It feels
Like the
very
fights are
professional.
extremely linear with all the camera cuts and everything. You can
Mhm.
still everyone
Dude.
looks exactly where they should be the entire
And
time.
obviously, these are wrestlers,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's no
Yeah.
fucking way they were looking
Right,
good
right.
out there. It was very fun to watch, I have to say. And I mean, in the beginning, I was just like, what is this? Like it first started out,
All right. Well, you're seeing
started out a
like,
little slow, like shit,
and you're just seeing all these buffed out dudes working out. I was like, is this like a
It's like
beefcake movie?
it's just like
Am I gonna-
it's just like a wrestling. This is just like dude. And then I realized I'm like, oh, it's going to be the daughters. And then then it was like, all right, this could be interesting. And, it was, yeah, I mean, I watched it last night in the living room. So I was, had it on and my roommate's like, what is this? My roommate, Mitt, like I was just saying, he's from Sri Lanka. He was videoing me, sending video to his brown friends being like, hey, look at Terrence. I think he knows more movies than I do. Like he's seen more movies from fucking our area than I have. And
This podcast is good for anything, TC. It's
and then
culture to you.
fucking. So his friend hit him back, and it was like. Yeah, but has he seen this one? And it was like, yeah, he's seen that one. And he's seen this one. Yeah, no, he's already seen that one. And did he see this one? Yeah, he did that one for the podcast.
All of Gangs Wasseypur, both part
man.
1 and 2.
Yeah, right. And then I was the one that told them about New Delhi when it came out. So they were like, damn, dude, what the fuck? So it was pretty funny. I mean, it's just like we watch a lot of them now, and we like Aamir Khan. I mean, I'm a big fan.
This one's like number 84 in the top 250 right now.
Nice.
Oh wow! I mean, dude, it's a blockbuster fucking movie. You
Yeah.
can tell from miles away.
You
It was
can.
obviously well budgeted. The
Not really, but we can get into
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, it seemed like
surprisingly
it, so it
good looking
for not crazy budget.
Yeah.
I will say
polished.
that
definitely.
the time they did, without all the songs, obviously the movie would only be about an hour and a half, right?
Mhm.
But I didn't hate the songs. It was just funny that they didn't do any real Bollywood like dance thing. They
It was
just
all
kind of did
montage.
songs.
Yeah,
they just
exactly.
did montage instead. I kind of liked it.
I did too. I was going to comment on that too. Like the songs were not like these huge productions, which I expected, but somehow it was still pulled off really well. I still enjoyed those parts.
Yeah, I did
So,
too.
yeah.
I mean, and the fact that like there were that many montages and I wasn't annoyed by them by like
Right.
the third or fourth one.
But it was so
was
well,
impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it was so well done. It was so well acted, and each of those, even the montage parts, it wasn't quick cuts. It was
No.
like they would show you enough to give you like a little tiny story within each piece of that as they did it, and it was really well done.
Yeah, and I mean, I was gotta say I was pretty heated when they locked him in the room.
Oh yeah,
Were
yeah.
you screaming at your TV?
I was like, what the fuck? That's fucked up. It's a fucking match. What the fuck? Like I was pissed. I was not happy. And then my roommate's like, what's going on? I'm like, it's a fucking big night. And the daddy's not there. You know how like you're supposed see a kid when they're doing a big thing, like this is the thing, and they're not doing it's fucking he's locked them in. They're like, who, what are you talking about?
Is this
I'm like,
real,
the
dude? Do you need me to call
the
somebody? No, it's
coach, the
the
fucking
movie.
coach locked him in a room.
Somebody's
dude.
got to let him out of there.
Yeah, someone's got him out of
there.
there. Like, who do I call? Like that type of shit. Yeah, I was pretty annoyed. I have to say, like, that's the
Nice.
biggest moment. But it brought him back to like that scene where they were, they had to jump in the water or whatever, and it showed that he had told her like, I'm not going to be there for you forever. Like, you got to figure, that's a good message.
Hugely important that he's not her savior in the end, that she
Right.
has to do it, right?
Yeah.
That also is really good. I mean,
Yeah.
that he
Agreed.
in the end that she has to do this.
Mhm.
And otherwise it's like, oh, daddy's the savior or whatever. And
Right.
that was, I thought, also just a really good way to kind of end it. That
Yeah, good character development there.
Yeah,
after
yeah.
everything. And it was nice because they put her through the ringer, right? They like, she was super hard work and dedicated, and then she like became a girl again, and she was like enjoying her freedom and all this.
Right.
And like they kind of made her seem like, she's just gonna fuck this up, right? And then like brought her all the way back again to like
but
being that hard work.
and it all made sense too. Like I really
Yeah.
like one of the things, even though this movie is long, but it has like these three really like well-defined segments of,
Yeah.
The first is like her, like them getting trained and rising to fame locally. And then there's kind of like the middle part where she's like gets to find herself. Like she's never she gets to have fun, and she's never had fun. She's never
Right.
seen movies or whatever. And there's like this really, and then she questions her dad and everything. And it's this really sort of well-defined middle segment. And then you have like the final sort of ending segment of the, where she comes back to her dad and she has you have the big bouts. And
Right.
it's such a they each have a different kind of tone to them. And like even in the end, which normally I'd kind of hate this, but like all of a sudden in the end, you kind of end up having some well-defined bad guys, like the coach and the
yeah.
Australian wrestler.
But then you also have like these dudes that are up in his level that are like, what's your problem? Like,
Right,
chill.
right.
Like, she's good. She's winning. You wanted a bronze. We're getting a gold. Like, could you chill?
Yeah.
Like, what is your problem? Like, I love that part where like the suit was just like trying to talk
Right,
some
right.
sense
It's
into
like,
him. Like,
what's
the
wrong with
matter
you,
with
man?
you? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right,
know.
which I wouldn't expect really, right? Because like the whole time in the movie, they basically prefaced every single man that was in charge was just like, what are you talking about? She's supposed to cook. The fuck? She's not supposed to wrestle. Like
Right.
even like I mean, obviously the guy that's the head of the Nationals like department, the group that does all female wrestling, he might be a little bit more, susceptible to like women having power, but it just was very different than every other male character besides the dad.
Yep.
In throughout the movie. So, it was a good movie, man. I have to say, it's like I said, it's pretty mindless though. Like you don't have to really pay attention that much. You could skip fucking 2 minutes of dialogue here and there, and you're like, I know exactly where we are.
Yeah,
We're
I
good.
think that's
and I love it.
yeah, and I think that's actually it's how well crafted this film is, that it just moves so quickly. You just get swept along with it.
Yeah.
And even if you're not, maybe you're not paying attention or whatever, but you still have a real sense of where it's going and what's happening, and it just feels really cohesive. And
Right.
so like you can just get like swept along with it, which I really was, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Like
yeah,
I was
exactly.
like,
That's a
you
good
know,
point.
so yeah, I didn't feel like I was like having to pay too much attention either in a sense, but I was like just really engaged in it and enjoying it.
Yeah. See, I mean, like I always say, right? Like if I'm not interrupting your sentences, then I hate your guts. Right? Like if I'm not trying to interrupt you and finish your thought, that means I'm not involved. Like I'm not engaged. So like with the movies, like if I'm not trying to figure out the plot the whole time, like I'm sitting there and I'm like, I think I know what's gonna happen. The sister's gonna get to the Nationals and then she's gonna go and they're gonna fight each other. What? You know what I mean? Like the whole movie, I was like, as my roommates would walk out of the kitchen, I'm like, I think I know what's going on. I think I know what's going to end. And I'm trying to figure it out. Like, I don't like a movie. If I'm not trying to figure out what the ending is, like while I'm sitting there, then I don't give a shit. So it's one of those things where I was doing that the whole time. So you're kind of right. Swept away is a good term. I was completely involved, even though I wasn't anticipating I would be.
No, that's
Not at all. So Denny's being very quiet. So
I am.
amazing. Yeah,
he must not like this movie.
I'm worried.
John, you
That
want to
makes
go
me
second?
worry. Yeah. before
Johnny
I-
hates it.
Keep it going,
Johnny
guys.
hates
This is
it.
great.
I think,
Keep it
I think
going.
Danny's going to be Dark Cloud, which, I don't know, man. Maybe there wasn't enough like pop star.
That's not necessarily
in
true.
this.
You guys should be as happy as possible for as long as possible. John, go ahead and review it second.
Well, I agree with everything TC was saying. I really was involved in this. I don't like wrestling. Where I grew up, wrestling was a big deal. We were like a little town, but our people from our town were state champions. So I think I hated wrestling because the
Just
jocks.
because of that fact,
Yeah.
Because you got beat up by
assholes.
wrestlers.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I
right.
didn't get beat up, but
Big
it was
neck
something
motherfuckers.
I could,
Fuck you.
I could never like participate in such a thing because I was such a terrible wimp.
Aw,
I
womp.
think-
I'm sorry,
yeah,
sir. I didn't know I was in your way. I'll get out of your way next time. Oh, stop pushing me, please. Stop.
that doesn't make me feel so good. Okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
right.
Anyway, yeah,
I know
so
that
it
one.
was-
I know that one. Yeah.
So I had like a just a general like latent hatred for the sport, but
Make it perfectly clear.
yeah.
Right.
But this film like does the wrestling matches for one are really exciting. I was really engaged in it, particularly the semifinal. Like the end one is a little more over the top Karate Kid type of a thing. Where,
I thought she was
going to
break her neck when they were just slow mo, and I'm like, she gonna
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Oh,
How is
yeah,
that
yeah.
the move, dude? How do you not die
Yeah.
doing that move?
Yeah, right to head, huh? Whew,
Right.
That's a tough one.
You backflip and you have an entire weight of another human body on your neck and you shove the
Oof.
top of your head
Yeah.
into the ground. Yeah, it's good.
Ooh,
Well,
baby.
you got a squishy mat, so it makes it okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's how that works.
Gotcha.
But that semifinal match was really tense, and I really was again. I think it's really hard to pull off that sort of thing in a sport movie. I don't think that's easy to do.
Not with wrestling, because how do you cut it to like you have to do the
Right.
same move the whole? I don't know, couldn't
Yeah.
understand it.
So that I really loved. I love the way that they were. And again, this is I think typical of these Indian films. And we've commented before. There's sort of a lightheartedness to it. The way they like address the town's bigotry. And they just sort of made it sort of whimsical. I liked that, a sense that they, the way they sort of like did the first section where the town would like grouse about what they were doing. And I loved how they presented it with the father's side where they beat up these two boys and I love that scene where he's all like, it dawns on him that
Shit, they're gonna be great.
yeah, he's all excited. And meanwhile, there's like the husband who's just repeating what his wife's saying about his boys getting beat up. And he's just embarrassed beyond belief because his boys were beat up by girls. I thought that, and I loved the chicken seller who, they kept cutting back to the chicken seller as the girl, became more popular and he was able to promote his own chicken sales because of that. And it was just
Makes
cute.
you extra strong.
Yeah. This film was just, I am just in pretty much awe about how well crafted this film was. I think not just like the production, but the story and the way they sort of like move it from one section to the next. And they show the girls young and growing up and the experience of like getting, of her getting to like sort of like a college years sort of things where she's like free from her parents and gets to experience like freedom and questions what her teachings were. And they did it in a way that seemed really fair. That seemed like, yeah, it makes sense that she's going to question this stuff. And then, you know, he gets locked in there. And again, I love that he's not her savior in the end. But it was really beautiful how he gets to know she won by hearing the national anthem.
Yeah, I thought that was
like,
kind of cool
that's
too.
so good. Yeah, I just love that. And the acting, I thought, but from the little girls to the girls as they grew up, like all the leads were fantastic. I thought that they just were, and maybe it's easier to think of the acting as good when you don't get to understand the language. So you don't know if they're delivering their lines in a bad way.
Right. They don't know if like that was cheesy the way they looked when they said that line.
Maybe there's more of a cushion there. Certainly, you know, the interpretation of the song lyrics was pretty awkward. Oh, Father, why have you made my life so complicated? Is like the chorus or whatever.
Torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I imagine it flowed a lot better in Hindi than, you know. But regardless, I still enjoyed those scenes.
I was wondering about some of the translations, to be honest. In the
especially on the songs.
Because like, and they kept saying like "press my feet" or "press my legs" for like massage.
Yeah,
and like, I was like, that's the fucking That's what they're getting paid for, to translate these things correctly.
That could be how like it translates, though. I don't know.
No, but then they usually have carte blanche to be like, okay, let's make this so that like English speakers understand the. Yeah, like you don't just leave it as the direct translation if the people that you're serving to won't. I mean, I understood it, but it was still like
I kind of liked it. It made me feel like it was actually like an Indian movie because you're getting some of the language.
But I always like it when they like tailor it correctly.
Dumb it way down.
Yeah. So like you get it, you know, like you don't have to think. I'm like press your legs.
I want every
like
food
massage.
they eat in Indian movies to be called spaghetti. Okay, that's
how
what
come
I want
that's
it to be
not
called.
a cheeseburger?
Nice.
Yeah, right.
Oh God.
Anyway,
I mean, I think
where's the line, TC? Where does it stop? That's what I'm asking.
There's no line. It's just fucking all fucked up all the time.
But I liked how it was all handled. I think one thing I would have liked to see, which I felt like was sort of a gap, was Aamir's character. Like this is like his obsession. He wants the gold for himself. He can't have it, so he's going to have it through his children. Fine, that's not an uncommon thing. But there's a switch in the film where he turns this into about women's liberation, and you don't see him make that switch. You just see him all of a sudden delivering that speech. You don't see him sort of like come to this idea or come to an understanding about how he's thinking of his daughters as more than people. He's thinking of this as a way for his daughters to have more of a life that you might have in a traditional culture where you just get married and that's your job, but to get married and have babies. And you don't see him transition. You see, he makes this nice speech towards, you know, in the middle about how this is about, or towards the like latter third, where this is about like her representing the women of India and what that means. And it's a nice speech, but you don't see Aamir's character like transitioning into that.
He's lying to her.
That's a nasty way to put it. I'd prefer to think there's stuff we didn't see where he comes to these realizations of
just
like
finishing
what it means.
the thought.
His obsession is kind of a dark thing, and they touch on that in the beginning, that he's just like, this is what he wants. He wants the gold for himself, right? He can't get
they don't
it. So
touch on that. That's the entire freaking
movie.
movie.
The idea, I would like to see more about him transitioning, the idea of him thinking more of his daughters as people and valuing them.
No, dude, he didn't give a shit
treating them
about
differently.
them.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true, because when that girl had that little speech, I was like, nah, she's right.
Which one?
The one where the one was about to get married, and she's like, I wish I had a dad like that. Fuck off.
What she's saying is like, at least you were even
like
if
he's thinking about you more than you think he's thinking about you.
Sure, he's using you for his own goals or whatever, but at least he's like valuing you more than just as something to like get away, put away,
or like something to have like a dowry from,
something to be discarded, right?
Yeah, right.
You know, and that you have to pay to get rid of. So in that sense, it's pretty dark, right? But
I guess.
All right, Denny. What's the negative that we're going to hear now?
Neg, Denny. Negative.
He's going
on this brilliant movie.
He's nagging.
Cinematography was
and then
cool.
go see your pop
the
star.
Fighting was very cool. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I didn't like the character. Amir Khan's
I'm
character really
surprised.
made me mad. I think, and also the message of the movie kind of made me mad, or at least
really?
confused me to the point where I was totally taken out of it, and I feel conflicted
women
on why this movie
empowerment.
is. Well, that's
Sorry,
not what it is.
I know, but I'm gonna be you, Denny, in this case because I
Sure.
don't get to do this very
Yes,
often.
do it.
Yeah, you don't like women empowerment.
I do,
Yeah,
but I
right.
don't think
I
this
think that
message.
upsets you. Women like having careers and stuff. That upsets you, doesn't it, Denny?
Well, as long as it's one career that's picked by your dad, which is the
Oh,
complete
wow.
opposite
Oh, here we
message
go. Here
of
we
the
go.
other movie
I
we
know.
watched, which is why I like this so much. And it could be because the people in that movie were men, and the women in this culture, need more of a Stone Age or like a further back level of
There we
motivation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. It's like it's okay to be told what to do by your parents if you're a
Right.
woman in this movie,
Right.
as opposed to
Wow.
don't listen to your dad. And
Have
you
you
can do
ever
whatever
met
you want.
Have you ever met people from that culture?
No, I know. I know there's like a direct line of there is the forced marriages thing like that. But I mean,
Right.
it just seems odd watching this one back to back. This one was made afterwards, and it just the whole idea that it's like, oh, well,
I think-
this
I
is the
think it's a
version
good-
for women. It's worse.
Right.
Check it out. Do you like this? Look
Right.
at this dad. He's good, right? Not really. He's still like,
Not really, in some ways.
Yeah, I don't know.
It
I
is
just-
a relative thing, and I can see taking that angle. I completely understand that. I think in some ways it's a relative sort of thing.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that really.
But I can understand it. But I don't know. I felt like the actors convincingly showed how they did enjoy what they were doing and they valued it. I mean, and yes, he did pick it for them. But what other choice did they have in that culture at the time? They could have just gotten married and had babies. That was it.
No, there's no way in hell that the only out that these women had was wrestling.
Well, they were in a village, dude. They were not in
Right.
a fucking Mumbai.
Yeah, but they could have done
They were
other
in a
sports.
village.
They could have like it wasn't
where?
just
At what
wrestling.
point-
Like,
Yeah, I don't know, but they made it seem like they were in the middle of fucking nowhere.
I know that's
village.
what they made it look like, but there's no fucking like. What are the odds
Yeah.
that the only window
Okay.
they could have had was through wrestling? They might have been good at other sports that women also have that are in the Olympics and things
Oh,
like that.
yeah, right. But I mean, how many other things were being taught with that much vigor to them? Period. Nothing.
I think your point.
That's
your
what I
point
felt
in some
like.
ways, you've got a point. I mean, with some of these sports, though,
In some ways.
you have to hit. You have to hit this at a young age, and you have to dedicate yourself pretty young to train up to this stuff.
Oh, I can't even imagine who would want to. I don't want to.
I'm also-
but we do it. Wait a minute, we do it in like our own culture. Whether it's bad or good, I don't know.
I think it's bad. I think that's
But-
part of the
but-
problem. Reason I
That's
don't like
fine.
it. So
Oh, so there you go. So I mean, if you have a fundamental problem with just the idea in general, then obviously not going
That's
to
also
translate well. I get
understandable.
it.
Like take something like gymnastics. In gymnastics, your career is over by your early 20s. So
I thought it was like
means you need-
15. You're over.
I thought it was
Yeah,
like
right?
16,
Okay.
17.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
maybe I was being generous, but that means somehow you have to dedicate yourself to your craft by the time you're like, I don't know, 8,
Yep.
Oh, easy.
right?
If not
So-
earlier.
Just because it
5,
happens doesn't make it good. Doesn't make those
4.
parents responsible
no.
people.
I'm not saying it's good at all. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that it's something that happens here. I'm trying to make some analogies, and I'm not saying
Okay.
good or bad. I'm just saying like I'm trying to bring something here to like something that we can understand. Like that happens here in America, right?
Yes.
So-
Yeah. What do you mean, like pageants?
Right. Oh God,
Yeah.
no,
Jesus.
not that. Not Jesus.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like,
Children
right.
actors.
But
I'd
right.
rather have
Ugh.
crazy sport dad and mom than crazy pageant dad and mom. And my sister used to do
So-
that shit.
That is an interesting conversation to have, and I have no idea. I mean, at what age should you allow? At what age should you just not push your child in any one direction until they're what, maybe 12, 16? I don't know.
By that time, they're already doing drugs. You better be careful. Might be too late. You better be steering him a little earlier than that. Hey, what's that? She's like,
Well-
that's fucking coke. What's that? That's heroin. God damn it, he's fucked. We got nothing. He's only 10. He's only fucking 10. He knows what
that's
coke is
interesting.
already.
I don't
Yeah.
know when you're young, and this is an interesting
I
question.
think it's a crapshoot either way, right? It depends kind of on the kid how well
Yeah.
it works out.
Maybe.
Because some kids you could fucking sit there and like beat them over the head with it, and they're gonna look at you and go, "I don't give a shit."
Yeah.
Right.
right.
And then there's
but I
some
can
kids that are gonna be like,
see-
"I got it, Dad. I'm gonna fucking hit a home run. You
Right.
got it, pops." And then
All
there's
right,
another
this
kid
is
that's
what
like,
we're going to work
you know,
on together, and hopefully,
Yeah, right.
I think the ideal is even if they're young, you're thinking that it's a collaboration.
No, did you ever get that? I never got the notion in this movie that the dad, like, I felt like he didn't even fucking love them. And even when she won her first
really?
gold medal, he was like,
I didn't
good
think
job,
that.
but you're not good enough yet. You have to win a
Yeah,
better
because
one.
he's training.
The
them,
gold,
man.
the gold
They get
medal.
The goal.
I mean, you mean not the gold medal, but like when they
The
won
championship
like this,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotcha.
I mean,
before
I
they
just
went
felt
to
like
the Commonwealth
I
Games.
dislike the dad character so much in this movie.
But see, I just thought
Ah.
I was equating it to like that's what happens to them when that's what happens to people in that culture when they're just going to be a doctor, and then they They get through X thing, and they're like, "Yeah, that's not good enough. What are you talking about? You're not in med school yet. Shut up. Get back to work."
Yeah, it's a bad thing. Isn't it?
You're not. Yeah, but that's just what it is. So they're really just touching on what the culture does. I don't know if it's like. I
thought it
we
was
gotta
realistic.
blame the dad or
Right.
this or that. Like that's just what it is.
Right,
out
right.
there.
And I don't necessarily think it was treating the dad as the hero.
It was, dude, for sure.
you think
dude.
so?
I don't
for
think so.
sure, dude. No,
No
he got like
way.
the fucking spotlight at the end. She hugged him at the end. He was that.
Well,
Oh man,
right.
this movie also super fucking cheesy. When they pause before they hug each other, I
because
couldn't
the last
fucking
one
stand
wasn't.
it.
The last one
But
wasn't.
that one was
cheesy.
at least funny. I feel like the difference between
Well,
this
right,
one
yeah,
and
boo,
that
boo,
one
boo.
is that one had funny dance numbers and it had like good dance numbers that were entertaining, and then it had funny parts and all the drama parts of Three Idiots. The drama parts that I didn't like of the Three Idiots that I was laughing at because of how bad they were was this
Yeah.
entire movie, basically, to me.
Wow.
Yeah, I see. I had the opposite kind of a thing, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't see you as being necessarily wrong, Denny. I see maybe it's more of a relative thing, but wow, I don't want to feel bad for enjoying this.
No,
movie
dude, don't.
as
I'm
much
glad
as
you
I
guys
did,
liked
right?
it. I'm really glad
I'm
you
not
liked
gonna
it.
feel bad.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
But I also thought the message was positive.
And
in
I
the
didn't
end.
read too far into the whole dad fucking daughter thing.
No, well, but I also loved that the dad detaching himself from the end was very important. It was very critical. That in the end, it was the daughter wanting this and figuring out how to do it on her own.
But
win.
it wasn't his choice, and it wasn't her choice. It was
No.
by accident. So, like, what's
That's
the point?
Fine.
But that's fine. It still happened anyway.
The point is that even without the point is that without him being there, she did it on her own, and she figured out how to do it on her own. That's important.
You know what else? A
She
big
wanted
problem.
it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, go on.
Nah, you good.
I predicted the last 10 minutes of this movie within the first half an hour of the movie to a T.
Did you predict that he would be locked into a room? Did you predict that?
No, but I predicted how she would win the
that's
last.
not
Dude,
too
son of a
easy.
bitch.
That's more of a Q
the
or a P.
obvious
That's
thing.
not a T. I would like to just say
The fight,
No,
the
wait.
last fight.
to the H
Wait.
before the T.
Wait, the last
In
fight.
the word shit.
Really, a big component of the last fight is him locked in a room and not being able to be
No, the
part
fight
of it.
part. Fuck his
Yeah,
character.
no.
I don't care about
No,
him. I don't know why they
but
focus
he
on
is
him so much.
critical
They
to
show
the
him
fight.
wandering
Because
around
it's
the
his
streets.
movie.
I know it's his movie. Why? It
Yeah.
should be about the girls.
It's Aamir Khan production. Of
I
course,
know.
he's gonna get
I know.
screen
Yeah,
time.
it's true.
The
But
fuck you
he
talking
didn't
about?
deserve all the screen time he got in this movie.
No, not at all. In fact, I was actually hoping, and I will say this, I was hoping at the part where all of a sudden she goes to like school and that
That he would
national
be
team,
out.
I'm like, oh man, maybe this won't be about him anymore. So
Nope.
you do have a point there.
You see him all
Nope.
upset at home, eating dinner by
Hey,
himself,
the
walking down the
coach
street,
sucks.
looking the
What do you
same
want?
as he
The
does the
coach
entire
sucks.
movie. Yeah.
What are you gonna do when the coach sucks? Got to bring the guy back.
Yep, you gotta bring him back.
So this is going to sound obvious, but it sounds like you guys didn't get this. But when he was describing the rules in the very beginning of the movie, it was like the first 20 minutes about the point system, about like what's 1 point,
Yeah, you
what's
gotta
2
flip
points, what's
one
3
over.
points.
You gotta
and
flip
then
one
there's
over.
one that's really hard to do, but it's worth
Oh,
5
no, no.
points, but it's
No, no, no,
possible.
no, no,
I mean,
no,
come
no,
on,
no,
we
no,
all
no,
knew-
no,
we
no,
all
at
knew
the
that
end,
was gonna
there's
be-
going to be the third match in the
Right.
very end.
If
She's
you're
going to win by
not
1
think-
point by doing
You're right,
that
right.
5
No, no,
points.
If you're
that's-
not
that's the-
thinking that at that point, you're fucking not watching the movie.
No, you're right. That's the crane kick. That's the whole
It's
Karate
the
Kid
fucking
thing.
foreshadow bullshit.
And I was like,
but
and it's going to be in slow motion, even more super slow motion than all this other slow motion shit they're
Yeah.
doing. And that's
And that's
exactly
gonna
what
break her
happens.
neck, and she's gonna break her neck.
No,
Right? That's what he
I
said
was
too.
not
Yeah.
surprised at all that they had the 5 point thing at the very end. I was
No,
expecting
they
that.
set that up like fucking hours ago.
I also hate it when movies win by 1 point or like within like 2 seconds. You know, you never defuse the bomb with 1 second left. Leave like 15
Yeah, you do.
seconds in the clock, dude. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Jeez, I
yeah.
love this movie. I love this movie so much. Now that Denny hates it, I love it even more.
Good.
Yeah,
I
that's
can
good.
feel your love for it. That's a
I
positive.
love it, Denny. It's the most amazing movie we've ever seen.
Oh, it is. It is. It's,
Yeah,
it's
just
my it is
fantastic, Danny.
one of my favorite sports movies. And
I'm glad you
I
guys liked
usually
it.
like sports movies.
Yeah, sorry,
And I'm
Denny.
glad you're glad I liked it.
I'm glad you're glad that I'm
fucking
glad that
Jay.
you liked it.
Daddy's having a tough time with the father.
My bar was super high for like not my bar. My expectations
Really?
were super high for. Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
mine
After
weren't.
watching Three Idiots, I really liked that movie.
See, I didn't like it as much as you. Then maybe that was the problem.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe. No, I really like Three Idiots. I like this so much more. I thought this
This was
movie
way more of like a
was
normal movie.
really
than
well
that fucking
crafted.
movie.
I'm really surprised, Denny. I thought TC is a kind of a wild card, you know?
Oh,
yeah.
always.
But
What
I
do
had
you
no
mean?
idea.
Always a
Right.
wild card.
Yeah, yeah. I
Kidding me?
had no idea which way TC might go on it.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I thought you
No
would
one
like
ever
it.
does.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
surprised.
I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
it. Timmy liked it too.
And I mean,
Oh, Timmy.
Nikki really
Yeah.
liked it, and she just got sucked into it very quickly. And
You guys think the first
Sam-
fight scene when they fought in their freaking office was stupid?
oh, it is a little
Move the
more
desks,
was
guys.
like-
We're gonna fucking wrestle it out
Yeah.
right here. That's what we're gonna do.
mean, it was
on the concrete floor.
No,
I
yeah,
thought
it was
you'd,
kinda dumb.
Like
That was
smash
just
your
a
brains out there.
that was just to show how ripped he is. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's all about Aamir Khan. I mean, there's no doubt about
I
it.
love to like where she's like. There was one scene too where again, it's part of the montage stuff. I think this movie does some of the best montages I've ever seen. And
it says good.
there's
well, it
one
has
where-
so many
where-
of them. I mean,
It does.
I mean,
So they got a lot of
montages are
practice.
typically terrible, right? By definition.
I know,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
these
usually they're
are
not great.
bad.
yeah.
But there's like the one I loved where as she's like building her career and there's this one scene where early on in her first match she gets like smacked by the guy, and it's like, oh man, he just like went out and like punched her, and then like part of the montage is her like she gets smacked again and then she smacks right back. And I thought it was great. I was like, yeah. So I don't know. I that's what you're supposed to do in these sports movies is get carried away and get into the idea of them,
Actually
being, like,
becoming that.
excited
Yeah.
about the competition. And this movie does it really well.
I
And it's
agree.
about
I'm jealous of
wrestling,
you guys.
which yeah.
Poor
Maybe
Denny's
you
jealous.
need to like get in a good mood, get mellow, be in a good mood, and just kind of try it again. I don't know.
I don't think that would help, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
may
just
not
the
help.
general-
It is
I think
3
the
hours
message-
long.
Like, if you can convince me away from this, I'd really appreciate it. But like, this movie's like, 2.5 hours long. The first 2 hours are like, having girls is shitty if you live in India, isn't it? Yeah, it sucks. Girls suck in India. And then like at the end, it's like, but if they're the best in the world at something, then they don't suck as bad. Isn't that right? You have to be the best at something very fucking odd to be not useless in the society.
yeah, right. But okay, you're right, Danny. But it's like a crack in the door.
Same
It's-
attitude
it's
here.
like the start of changing your mind about things. That doesn't mean that's the end of it. That means that's the start of thinking about women being like men. It doesn't mean that this is the end of everything like that. Oh yeah, that's just all you can do. You just have to be the best of everything. What it does is it starts you thinking about them as being equivalent. And that's important.
But they're not equivalent because
really
they're only
valuable.
fighting other women. That's,
Yes, but you're thinking of them just not as people that you're marrying off and not as people that you're just getting a dowry for.
I mean, that's obviously
Once
a
you-
positive point there. I think the
Exactly.
surrounding message
Right.
is just not
I don't
as
think.
good
I
as
think
that.
you're reading the message the wrong way. Maybe
I could be.
But to my mind,
interpreting
it's
overthinking it.
right. I don't know, but to me, it's not about that specific thing. It's about the direction that leads you. Once you open the door to that, once you start acknowledging, yes, I know it like has to be exceptional for starters, but once you acknowledge that like this means that yes, they're exceptional and they're really good at something, and that means it's valuable. Then you start backtracking in terms of the less value, the less exceptional stuff. That means that they're equivalent. It means that they need to be treated more like men in general. And that's what's important about it. So I know you can take like this, like, yes, this is exceptional. This is like this is fictionalized in a way, although like there's a lot of like correspondence with what really did happen. And I know that
all
in
the
some
dramatic
ways that
beats
can
are
be-
basically false in this movie.
right.
Oh, it
that's
makes
fair.
sense. It's
Yeah.
a movie.
The
Okay,
story
but-
at face value is cool in a headline, but then all the
Yeah.
parts to it are kind of just like not that interesting. So they just added a bunch of shit to it. to
Well,
make
sure, right. They dramatize it, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
But the idea is that if you can accept the extreme, then you start backtracking to the mundane about it. Like if you can accept the extreme about it, that like if they are talented, then you value them the same way that you would value men. Then you backtrack into like even if they're not so talented, why should you not value them just as much? And that I think is important. And I believe that like once you have the crack in the door, then you backtrack into treating them more as equivalent. You might not think so, Denny.
No, dude,
don't
I
know,
100% agree with
I
you. And I
mean-
think like looking at it historically away from this movie, that is progress, and that is a good thing without
and
any
that's,
question.
That's why I think the message of the movie. I know you can like. I completely understand that you could say like, it's like, oh, what are you only to value women in this particular case, right? In this particular circumstance, when all of the stars align and you have somebody who's like a world champion out of the gate,
Dude, I get I'm like, so sorry. This might be repeating my
go
point,
on.
but like the father character in this movie, it seems like he didn't value his daughters until they had something for his own
Right.
personal gain. And like,
No.
he has four daughters. He has four
bullshit on
daughters,
that.
and you don't see two of them the entire movie because they're not good at wrestling. And then the second daughter, who
No, the
in this
story's
movie
not
isn't
about
as
them.
good.
No, wait. But I think you're right. And that's true. And that is exactly maybe the way it was.
Right, but in the culture of India, it's probably more or less likely that like, oh, you're not going to
It
be a
is.
doctor. Like, all right, here, she'll be married off anyway.
the disappointment that you do not have a son is real, and that is part of what happens there.
There's a high chance that I'm just extremely culturally ignorant on my point of view in this movie.
Going. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I think that might be a little bit of it, not all of it. You could still hate this one. I could see it.
I mean, I don't hate it. It just frustrated me.
No, you do. You do. It's just
I
short
didn't
of
like
it.
it because the movie was trying to shove certain things down my throat, and it was obvious that it was doing that, and I resisted it. You know, it's the kind of movie where, like, if you were along for the ride, I could see it being very emotional. Right. But man, like all the scenes where it was trying to make me cry or try to make me feel for this character, I'm just like, I don't.
Because you already did. You were already out of it.
I was
too late.
Or you were further along in terms of the way you see these things. Like,
which makes me better. No, dude, that's. I mean, I don't like the sound of that at all.
That doesn't sound good.
I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help here.
No, you're hurting, dude. You're hurting
there's
me.
There's nothing to help.
I don't want hurt.
He already admitted he's culturally ignorant to this.
I mean, that's definitely true.
He's there.
Regardless.
First step is, admit you have a problem. You're powerless to the addiction. All that. I'm just kidding.
I might need to watch this again, even though I was painful the first time, just because I felt like I knew what they were trying to get at, but I didn't get it. I
think they were just trying to be realistic to how many family are.
That's what I felt, CC. Yeah. I agree. I felt like they were trying to set themselves in the times.
There's a reason why it's the biggest blockbuster they have, right? It hits all sorts of types.
But they were doing it, and they're not being apologetic about it. They're like
they are being apologetic about it, dude. That's my problem.
What do you mean?
The father figure,
Okay.
I think he's supposed to be a good character when he's not that great of a character. They should have made his character less of the hero of the movie, and that's what I think.
Right. I don't think he was the hero.
I would have liked to see more of his transition. I would have liked to see him I would have liked to see more in the movie about him realizing this was just more than him wanting to get the gold, and then seeing that he didn't have to have a boy to do it; he could have it through a girl. So that would have been that would have been a nice addition to the movie. I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that scene where she calls crying and apologizes was pretty touching. I thought that was
I was moved by all of that.
I would put that one of the worst scenes for me, man. I couldn't stand that scene.
You and your parents are close. I mean, I got something out of that. I was I can imagine like that. I can see that.
I'm getting it, guys. Thanks. This movie's just not made for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. You don't have these problems.
I guess not.
It's okay.
It's okay, Denny. We still like him.
Yeah, we love you, Denny.
Timmy doesn't like him.
Timmy
doesn't like anybody.
Timmy stole $15 from me last time I saw him, that son of a bitch.
Yeah, he pickpocketed you right as you were getting on the train.
No, he's like, hey, dude, I'm sorry, can I borrow like $15?
Hey, dude, I know. I was
real quick, and then he ran away.
I just need to get the train to Leominster. I don't know. I mean, is that cool? Like, I just need to get back to Haverhill. I don't know where to go. I don't know what else. Anyway.
It's fascinating to me, and because sometimes I'm at the other end of this when we all watch a movie, and the reactions we have to it are really interesting to me in terms of whether we buy into it. Right? There's some films where I've just not bought into it, and I don't necessarily understand why, but it just doesn't work. Right?
Yeah,
true. And that to me is really interesting. I don't know if there's a way of really defining it or like getting at the core of it. Right.
There's no way to do an experiment because I mean there's no control. It depends on your first and foremost your state of mind when you start watching a movie is probably the most important factor.
Dude, and that's why like 90% of the time I hate movies because my fucking mental state's fucked. You know what I mean?
No, you're totally right. I agree. It's like where are you at in your own head when you sit down and absorb this movie? For me, it's hard for me because there's so much like chaos in my life right now. That for me to get engaged in a movie, God, I appreciate that so much.
Oh,
true. That's why I love when we decide to pick a film that's in theaters because I get to go and be engaged in it.
Have 3 hours to yourself.
Right. This movie, I still had screaming, crying children all around me as usual, and I was engaged in it. And God, I appreciate that.
His kids fucking eating shit. They're wrestling in the back, fucking banging their head against the carpet.
Did Sam watch this one?
Yeah, she did. She did at times, and she liked it. I mean, she was like, "Well, why is that girl doing that?" And I talked to her about it, and I talked to her about how women are treated differently, and she's like, "That was like not mind blowing. She's still too young for that because she doesn't have enough experience to have like to have like expectations."
In her imagination, there's way cooler shit going on than anything a movie could show.
Hell yeah, it is.
Oh, right,
definitely
right. No. Yeah, exactly.
To
No,
her,
you're totally
unicorns
right,
are
Danny.
real for real. That's pretty sweet.
No, I know.
That's a good
But
point.
she liked seeing the girls that were fighting. She's like, wow, are those girls fighting boys?
Damn right they are.
So she
You could
liked
do that too, little one.
Yeah.
I mean, never mind. Not Nikki. I didn't say anything.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
know.
say anything.
You want to
I
kick him in
know.
the balls. That's what you want to do.
But
Don't
yeah,
worry,
she-
you kick him in the balls
She
and run
drifted
away.
away. She drifted away from it, but yeah, it was different. She wasn't too engaged in it. I know it wasn't like Three Idiots where those Bollywood musical numbers were incredibly engaging.
Yeah.
So she would like be attracted to that because you had these dance numbers that were.
How could
like,
you not be?
fantastic,
Oh yeah, how could
right?
you not? Yeah, right.
Yeah, you didn't have that in this for sure. So until the guy hung himself in Three Idiots, where I had to like cover. her
Oh
eyes or
no, that's
whatever.
cool. He's fine.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
just
It was-
he's hanging out. He's good.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah, he's all right.
He's good. Now, what about those unicorns though?
Yeah, unicorns.
Yeah,
Unicorns.
sure,
Oh
sure,
my
sure.
God.
Danny, I think what we need now is a new movie that's not made by Aamir Khan and see if some of the same cultural things ring true. We need
Well,
to find another one. We need to find another one
I've
that's similar.
liked every
type.
one of the Bollywood movies so far,
Yep.
except for this one. And I think the only one we watched
Maybe you would
without
just
Amir
do.
Khan was Gangs of Wasseypur. That didn't
Yeah,
have him in
Gangs
it.
of Wasseypur was very different.
Yeah,
it was
way
not. That was not Bollywood.
That's not
No.
Bollywood. That's just fucking.
That's tense. And I would like to see.
Is
Gangs of
Bollywood a
Wasseypur
style
again.
of movie or a place? Is it like Hollywood?
Well, it's a place, right? It was
Yeah.
Mumbai. Or
But I
it
think
was,
of Bollywood as being a lot more.
How close
I think of Bollywood as being optimistic.
Oh yeah, no, but I think at the time it was movies made in Bombay.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
So like they termed it Bollywood.
But
'cause
they,
it's
but they do
Bombay,
incorporate music, right? They
yeah.
they
and there's song and dance included,
yeah.
right? But I mean, in theory, anything from that area could technically be from Bollywood. I just don't, I think we all associate it with dance, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't.
No, I think
Yeah.
those
Not
are the ones
100%
that
on that.
like end up coming over the ocean to
Yeah.
us.
Right. Well, not anymore. I think India. We're going to see a huge spike.
Yeah.
In
Oh,
these,
yeah.
these new things.
And
so.
because of Amir Khan, you got to give him some of that. He's part of the reason for this.
Yeah, well, and a lot of white
I
people
love
now
the dude.
too.
I
putting
still
their
love
money
the
in.
guy. I
Fucking
thought he was
assholes.
fantastic in this movie, and I know you may not have liked him as much, Jenny, but man, I thought he's good. He's a fucking good actor.
Dude, he had
He
the
is
same facial
really good.
expression this entire movie, man. I'm sorry.
I like him.
He always
I do.
he had
I
the
do.
intense eyebrows and he just looked frowny and he always just crossed his arms.
But to me, this was different for him because he's not being like the sexy savior, cool guy. He's acting a different role here, where he's being like the concern, and the movie fairly showed him to lose his temper and be an asshole, and they allowed him to do that in this film. I thought,
Which they never do, huh?
They allowed him. He
Right.
was the producer.
well, I mean, he allowed himself. He didn't always look positive here.
No, he didn't.
Which
I
he
thought
usually
he's out.
does in every
Yeah.
other movie,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
he's doing his smile and his head shake left and right.
I don't think
Even when
they-
the British
they
are trying to cheat at cricket, he looks kind of happy.
Yeah.
It's fun.
By the way, I was sitting there and I'm like, I can never do that head shake, right? Because I would love to be able to do that. Like, oh yes, how you doing? Yep, shaking left and right versus up and down. Like that's probably racist, right?
Is it? Yeah, if
Like
you
I
try.
don't know. I was thinking that. I'm like, is that good? Like, if I just did that all of a sudden, do I get punched immediately for that? Like, I
Was
like,
was that an Indian
so
thing or is that like
I can
a
do
family
this or
thing for
not?
them?
I can't do this or not. I have no idea. I have no idea what
Yeah.
it is. I'm also culturally ignorant,
Yeah,
Denny. I just
we're trying to learn, man. That's why we watch these movies.
Right.
I mean,
right.
the girls, both young and older, were awesome, right, Denny? I mean, you got that right. Like the acting was fantastic. If you want to like say Amir wasn't good, like those girls were fantastic.
They were much
right?
better than Amir.
They were very
No.
much better. Yeah.
Yeah.
They.
I didn't like. I thought
it
the
was all
crying
good
scene
there.
was way over the top, but I think it was
All
because
of
I
them
wasn't in the movie, and I was kind of like, this is going on for a
Right.
long
This is
time.
stupid.
You got
Yeah.
ejected,
dumb.
so yeah.
It's like me watching all those old ones. I can't
Yeah,
even
you
do
were.
it. I can't even
You
think.
somehow you didn't buy in.
At the
right?
very
So
least,
you're already
holy
out.
shit, they're such good wrestlers. Like it was amazing every time they
Yeah.
moved around.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, they don't
Right.
look necessarily like super athletes, but then when you see them fight people,
Yeah.
you're like, Jesus
Right.
Christ. They're
God,
so
when
good
that
at this.
girl showed up with the big ass neck, I was just like, oh, that's gnarly.
But we can agree. But all three of us
That's
then can agree
gnarly.
on that. Like the scenes of the actual competition were
Awesome.
fantastic.
Top notch.
They were great.
Right?
Top notch.
Yeah, and the
I don't give a
cuts
shit
and
about
edit-
wrestling, and it was very engaging.
Dude, the
Exactly.
editorial there was fantastic.
Yeah.
It just cut together seamlessly.
And it looked
I mean,
like
it was-
they're- the
yeah.
way they edited that one scene where she was going, I forget if it was like the last or the second to last one, where they showed actual footage from some event that was massive. That was
Yeah.
fucking crazy because it made it look like the rest of the scene took place in that arena. without using super close-up shots for the actor shots. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
They still had like some people in the background. I don't know how they. I mean, I saw some behind the
It,
scenes
it
footage,
didn't
but
feel like trickery or whatever
Right.
to like give you the sense of action. It was like you
unlike
felt like
Rocky,
you were
where
there
you can
watching
kind
it.
of tell like the quality of like the
Right.
real shot versus what they did in the ring. You're like, oh yeah, there's the edit point.
No.
In this one, you just can't tell.
Right, and to take a sport that I don't care about.
Carabort? Carabort.
Yeah.
I don't care
Carabort.
about
I,
either.
I have
Abort,
drunk
John.
too much
Abort.
wine at this point.
Carabort.
Yeah, I know, but to take a sport I don't care about, and
There you go. Oh, I thought you were going to mess it up again.
Wow, I thought it was
I
going
know,
for
I
two.
know. I started again. Thank you.
Care about.
I'm good.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, thanks. I'm good.
Woo. Got that.
But to take that and to make me care about it and feel engaged, I think that's spectacular. I don't give a shit about wrestling, and given my background, I actually have a negative bias against it.
No, but you have
And-
a positive bias towards these mushy sports movies of sports you don't care. Knock, knock, rush.
I know.
There it is. It's the
Well,
same
right,
thing.
I know.
That's true.
What was the other one?
There's Ultimate Fighting
was
one.
Warrior.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that movie
Yep.
too.
Don't care about F1. Don't care about Ultimate Fighting, do you?
No.
Do
but,
ya?
man,
Yeah, but
Love a
when you
good
bring
family
the-
drama covered in friggin' mushy,
Yes.
sports stuff.
Yes.
Two.
Yes,
Mindless,
give me that.
fucking
Give me
linear
that, and
sports
I'm gonna
movies.
be all crying on my couch.
Dude,
I
that's
love
your
it.
favorite type of movie, John. That's got to be.
Is it?
I
oh
think.
man, I don't know. You might be right.
You're 100% on watching.
but
you know,
I'm like starting to
Hey,
think
it's
about
like
my-
the opposite of
last
what his
50.
life is, right? So,
No,
what you can
yeah,
do.
yeah, you might be right, and also something I've never got to do because I'm too much of a fucking klutz. So, so the idea of somehow engaging in sport is like
Yeah.
so far away from me that if a movie helps me do that, it's really moving to me, right?
Right. I mean, that makes sense.
Right. I could never possibly do that. I would like somehow render myself unconscious before,
it's
I
a
would-
window
I would-
to a life that you never had.
Exactly.
Right, living vicariously
is
through the movie.
The
Yeah.
glory of film, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, and I
maybe you're
could have
right,
been a
Danny.
fucking professional wrestler. I just shrugged this stuff off, It does nothing for me because, this is
Yeah, yeah,
could've done it.
no.
Could've done
it.
I'm really happy.
Yeah,
like
sure.
I'm at such a point in terms of understanding myself. I know. Last winter, I went to my car and I opened the door really fast and I knocked myself in the head with the door.
And you're like,
So I was like
Jesus
standing
Christ.
too close to it, and my first thought
What hurt
is,
more, the pain or the
You know what?
embarrassment?
Yes, but you know what my first thought is? My first thought is, I'm really surprised that I've not done that before.
Whoa, that could have been a lot worse. I'm lucky.
Yeah, I'm really
Oh,
surprised.
John,
that-
that's
You run
priceless.
your tongue around the back of your teeth, and you're like, still got all of them. Great,
Yeah.
this is a great
Yeah.
day.
God, I
But
paid
my
a lot for
thought
those.
is, I am really surprised that this is the first time I have almost not knocked myself out by standing too close to my car door as I start to open it.
That's crazy.
So yeah,
Oh.
that's where I'm at.
I didn't know. John, I've known you for a little while, John. I had no idea you were that uncoordinated and klutzy. Yeah.
Dude, I struck out in T-ball.
I think everyone did at some point, right?
I probably did.
yeah.
No,
Yeah, I
no,
wouldn't doubt
I was.
It was
oh,
possible.
man.
It's not like it's super easy to hit that ball sitting there.
Sports wise, I am so physically uncoordinated. It is. Oh man, yeah. It is so far
it's
away
a sad
from my
state
ability.
of affairs.
Yeah, it is.
Well, now we know what John loves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sappy, mindless sports movies that really are great. I mean, I'm with you,
Now,
John.
I imagine,
I'm right
Denny,
there with
you're more of a sports guy, right? I imagine you're like physically
Hockey,
talented.
bro. Timmy likes hockey.
I look
Timmy,
at
though.
fucking sticks on the ice, dude. Oh, what's it, 40 degrees out? Let's hit the pond. Am I right?
No, I wasn't very good at sports. I was good at skateboarding, so I have coordination.
Oh,
I
yeah,
have
you
balance.
got some of that, TC.
Yeah. But yeah, not as klutzy as that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Although when I did go to put my headphones on the other day, I hit myself right in the eye. So
That's
I
a
mean,
me move. I love
you know,
it.
yeah. I pulled
It's
them too wide, and I let go too early, and boom, right in the eye. My coworker saw me too. He's like, "Oh, that one hurt." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
no good.
yeah.
That one definitely hurt." So it happens. It happens to the best of us. But yeah. Anyway. Well, Denny, we're running out of time, so maybe we should wrap up this fucking.
Oh, we
Yeah,
got 12
you gotta
minutes.
see your
I just
Charlie
wanted to say that
girl.
this movie had a cocky British person in it talking down to Indian people.
Oh, that
per the
was something
usual.
else. I was like,
Well,
that wasn't
that's par for
necessary.
the course, right?
That
Yeah.
wasn't fucking necessary.
I mean, I'm
what
pretty
she
sure
said.
that India has fair rights to do that for at least the next 100 years.
Oh no,
as far as they
that's
want.
fine. But like,
Yeah.
I just like it was just so not useful for the story. I didn't.
Well, they
give a
also
shit
made
either way.
her. I mean, I don't want to. She was hideous, right? Like she was a
heinous,
beast.
heinous.
Yeah.
I think that's the
I
term.
think that was
it was over
intentional.
the top.
Yeah, we might get in trouble for that, but fuck it.
I mean, I think it was intentional for the movie because no one else, like she had to be cast. They could have gotten a lot of, she's not famous.
Yeah, a little Miss
She was
Piggy
there to be like,
what?
look at how evil, look at how evil British people are. They're so,
Aren't they? Have
Yeah.
you met them? No,
They-
I'm sorry. Not a big
don't be a
fan either, my
hypocrite,
friend.
TC. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the British either.
Yeah. We've already talked to this. Someone says in the movie, a win for women.
Right, because it's what John's saying. They're
Yeah, but
taking John's approach to the story, not yours.
Yeah. She's fighting women. That's all I have to say. It's not a win for women. A woman was going to win regardless.
Women fighting women is not a woman. Right. What about the Australian women? But the idea is
It's low there.
No, but
No, it's
the
not.
idea
It's
is-
true, isn't it? How is that not true?
I mean,
Wait, well,
yeah, but that's
because
not
if
the
you have
point.
a culture that makes women like in terms of like you define their roles as only a single role, wife, childbearer. That's not how they're defined in Australia, say, or in other cultures.
Or
that
English,
it is a
yeah,
woman.
right.
It-
Yeah, Americanized.
Man, I did drink too much white wine just now, so I apologize.
Ah.
But it is a one.
Taking the edge off there, Johnny boy.
I'm gonna admit right now, man. But yeah. So I think that's the point. It's like a cultural shift for them, which is important.
I agree, but
Right.
don't you think they should have said this is a huge win for Indian women? Because that's specifically what they're talking about.
Well, that's what they mean.
That's then you start secluding women,
felt like that
certain
was a
women.
given.
That's not good. You can't do that.
But it's not a win for if the British person won, it wouldn't have been the same. It would have been like, oh, that's really upsetting because the person that would have changed Indian culture
it's the
lost,
idea that
and British is the same
it's
now.
a win.
It is,
It's a win
but the
for
point
women in the
is-
sense of a woman that was oppressed became not oppressed by doing something that she in the end
Right.
actually really wanted to do.
Excellent
Right,
point,
TC.
TC.
Well,
I'm
there
wrong.
you go.
That
There
is
you go.
100% correct, and
Denny,
everything I
you
said was
are
wrong.
right. You are not right, rather.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. You start secluding people,
Very
then all of a sudden
clearly
it's, you know,
stated and described why what I said was totally 100% incorrect. Okay.
okay. All right. Well, one time every out of 200 podcasts,
Yeah.
I get something in that's decent. So
I also thought it was weird at the end. The other daughter was so happy because obviously the dad had a more of a fondness for the oldest daughter, and he's like, "Oh, look at that! I can be happy now." And the younger daughter's like, "Oh, yay!
hey, but
I'm
I
number
still want
two."
to wrestle. I
Yeah.
still want to
The
wrestle, right?
younger daughter was just less developed in her career. I mean, she would go on to also like be very successful.
In
I think,
reality.
like in
But
reality.
in the movie, you would never guess that because she, they
No,
don't
because
care
we're,
about
we're
her.
No,
2
she
hours
was-
and
she
fucking
was-
40 minutes in, and we can't do any more of the story.
Right,
all right?
she was already into her next phase of training. Eventually, she would go on to win her own medals. It was fine.
Yeah. But why stop there? Why did he draw the line at the place he knew they could
Because
win?
the
Why not the
movie was
I'm
Olympics?
not
telling
gonna
you
be
because the
3
total
hours
runtime was
long.
out of time. That was
Yeah.
it. There was no more time.
I guess we could have had a fifth act, Denny, so we could see the younger daughter go on to succeed.
That's what I
Yeah.
want. I want fairness. I want a movie to be complete. I
and
want it
then
to,
the funny part will be when he gets locked into a room again. He'll go, "Oh, how did I not see this coming?
Oh God, this again. Yeah.
Why do I trust those men?" Anyway,
oh man, you guys want some trivia?
Yeah,
Sure.
go, Denny. Go. Trivia time.
Unfortunately, this movie is not available on Blu-ray in this country. I have no idea why. But there
That's
are
surprising.
some special features on YouTube that are Hindi only. So it was kind of hard to like watch them because I didn't understand 90% of what they were saying. But I have some trivia from it.
go. Trivia.
He gained 28 kilograms for the fat part, and they shot all that stuff first. And he lost 25 kilograms in 5 months
damn.
to get jacked.
So he just got on a good training program.
Kilogram
Yeah.
is like over 2 pounds.
Yeah, so he lost 60 pounds in 5 months.
God.
Yeah, and he gained
And how
65,
about
70
like
pounds.
Come
he
on.
was smart.
Come on.
He
Christian
was smart
Bale
to
wouldn't do
backload
that.
it. Right?
Oh, well, he would, but again, like, come on, let's give some credit to him.
He was smart to backload it. So he's like, no, I'm going to get fat first, guys. And then we're going to shoot.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, in terms of just body changing, he was like almost as fat as Christian Bale in that American Hustle movie, and he was
Right.
way more jacked than Christian Bale in either Batman Begins or
Oh,
American
yeah.
Psycho.
I mean, he
the
was
biggest
pumping
person.
iron,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
And I can't
wasn't
think
just
of an
losing weight.
actor that looked more ripped than he does,
Yeah.
Dude,
including
he
like
was-
The Rock or like anybody like that. He looked more jacked in this movie.
I did not recognize him, just like you said earlier, John. I mean, I just didn't recognize him. Couldn't believe
I
it.
didn't either. I had some trouble. Like, man,
And
is
I'm looking
this
at my
him?
body in the mirror, like, nope, it's just not gonna do any of that,
Dude,
no
5
matter what I
months.
do.
That's all it takes is 5 months
Yeah.
is to change your body from
Well, you
being
need to
fat.
have a personal trainer,
Right, and
too.
work 8 hours a day, right.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right,
That's your
right.
job.
But
if
still,
that was your
that's-
job,
Also, sitting at a desk doing corporate isn't gonna do it. Damn it.
Right,
Okay.
right.
No.
Copy.
No, you need to
Copy.
get one of those like spring-loaded hand squeezers and a medicine ball or whatever, the exercise ball, so you
Yes.
flex your abdomen a little bit there when
All
you're sitting at
day.
your desk. Yeah, he went
Okay.
from 38% body fat to 9.67% body fat in 5 months.
Well, fucking A, man. I wonder what he's at now. He's probably back to being normal. Just
Probably normal, yeah, I would imagine.
although you don't get jacked like that if you didn't already do that all the time. He might just be like a fitness nut now.
Well, they showed all the wrestling he did when he was fat was real. And he just it was pretty hard because when you get fat, your breathing becomes different because you're pulling a lot more weight. So it was hard for him to do as quick a takes as he usually liked to do.
Oh man.
But he still was extremely physical as a really heavy person. So I think
Yeah.
as he was shooting the wrestling stuff as the fat guy, he was just gaining muscle underneath the fat. So then when he slimmed all the fat down, he was just the most jacked freaking guy.
Dude,
Ever.
it's great.
No.
Yeah.
He's looked good out there. I have to say, he's fuck, man. He's big
He's
dude.
he was 51 when he shot this movie.
Isn't that
Wow.
nuts? He doesn't
It's
look
crazy.
a day over
He's
40.
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me when we all reach 51, we're gonna look
I'm gonna look
way
like
worse
shit.
than this guy.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
yeah.
gonna
not
like
gonna
garbage.
look. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna look half as good as Amir.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing left will be in my head will be my fake teeth. You know what I mean? It'll be like that.
Yeah, you have
be like,
you'll talk different.
I'll actually talk like that then.
How's it going, Denny? I'm good. Just hanging out. What are you gonna do, right?
That'll be me, literally.
Dude, you're just gonna shape yourself into Timmy as you get older.
Yeah, as I get older, right?
Yeah.
Just start calling myself Timmy too.
Hiya, Timmy. Nice to meet you.
He's a character. He's a thing. He's a lifestyle. What
He
you can do.
is. 3,000 girls auditioned for the 2 main female roles in this movie. which is
Wow.
quite a bit of people auditioning.
Wow. I mean, again, whoever they chose, they were fantastic. I thought
How
the
much training and
actresses
wrestling did
were-
they need?
yeah.
That was my next piece. 7 months
There you
of
go.
training camp.
Wow.
6 days a week, 8 hours a day, 7 months.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
No joke.
Because they weren't wrestlers. They were
Right.
hired for their acting and their physicality, kind of, but they weren't wrestlers. So they had to learn all of that.
But even you, in your negative sense of the entire movie, Danny, would admit that the wrestling was fantastic, right?
100%.
So they
it
did a
worked.
great job.
Yeah.
That's a lot of training that they went through, huh?
Tons.
And it means they changed their diet, just like in the movie. They did everything, by the book to keep up because the energy level you need to do for that much training. I can't even imagine how much you must have to eat.
Yeah. A ton. Plus, every single take you have to make good.
Oh my God, I barely eat as it is. Can you imagine that? This is why I hated sports. Doing this shit. Sounds miserable. But how much were they getting paid? Do you know?
No. I
That's
could,
too bad.
Yeah.
Love to know what their salary was when they're doing
Hopefully
all
a
this training.
percentage. Hopefully for them.
Oh, residuals. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. This movie was actually boycotted in India from certain types of
What
people for
parts?
its message.
Oh well,
Yeah, what parts of India?
Aamir Khan talked about how there was some intolerance in India, and it was sort of from what little I could read about it, it's sort of a redneck reaction of you don't like it, leave
Exactly.
it. We're not gonna watch your
Yeah.
movie. But bullshit. The movie was a spectacular success financially, even in India. So
It was more so
They
of
had
a
very
success
little
in
pull.
China.
yeah,
Really?
So it
yeah.
was $310 million overall worldwide box office
Holy
profit, but
shit.
210 million were from China.
And all he said was that his wife was
Another
nervous
oppressed
about
place.
living in India
Yeah.
because of the intolerance that was there, and he thought that was a very sad thing. That's all he said.
Yeah.
And this created this patriotic backlash.
Yep.
to him,
Oh,
which
you
was
know,
As is
what do you-
common
this
these
is,
days.
This is why
Yeah.
you're touching on these items.
He's
in
like
the,
saying, hey,
stories.
maybe we can improve some things here. Well, God damn it,
God
you.
damn,
we're
no
not gonna-
way.
Yeah.
Women are to be fucking married and to do fucking dishes. What's the matter with you? He's like, I told you. That's why we put it in scene 4. I knew that would work.
But it definitely helped because in China they measure the number of males versus females in age groups. People go see movies. Every movie ever is almost that's a blanket statement. It's almost always true that it's all men that go see it mostly.
Really?
It's over 50% men go see movies in general. This
Is that
movie,
because they're just not allowed to go see them, the women, or what?
I think most movies are made for men for the most part.
Oh man.
But this movie in China, 59% of the people who went to see it were women,
Nice.
which is a huge
In
difference.
China?
In China.
Well, they're also an oppressed,
Right, exactly.
It's back to
So
the
they saw it
idea
as like
of
a huge
right,
motivational
a crack
movie.
in the door,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
without actually going
Right.
against, the leaders.
And you can say
It's a
again,
movie.
Nate, that the women deserve so much more than this, but it's still the idea of the right direction.
Yes.
Well, and it's the fact that like this isn't even as close as to what they could be, but it's also all like this is even more. This is still way above what they are allowed to do. Like our culture's so much further ahead, even though it's still fucking not in the right place than these cultures where they just not allowed to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's normal. That's just like, what are you talking about? Why would they do something? Something else, man. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
The women I know are much smarter than I am. I don't know what's about you guys, but I'm fucking thank God I got them because I'd be
You're not
fucking
allowed to
doing
say that,
jack
TC.
shit.
It's going to ruin it
What?
for all of us, damn it.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's not the, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
that's
I
the
have
fear, at
two
least.
female managers and I'm fucking grateful they're females. I couldn't, fuck, man.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I have 5 things in this movie, the big plot points of the movie that are not true to the real story. Do you guys want to hear them real quick?
Go.
Mm-hmm.
The final match, Geeta kicked the ass of the other person. She won the first round 1-0, and the second round 7-0, and then that was the end.
Mhm. Oh, that's what happened
So
in real life.
Geeta was a beast.
There was no
Yes.
suspense.
Geeta was
no
a
suspense.
stud.
Yeah. You didn't have the Karate Kids, like crane move.
Right.
Yeah.
The father was not locked in the closet. No suspense.
Well, I figured that.
Yeah.
Was there like actual tension between the coach and the father in real life?
The evil coach did not exist. He was a fine coach. The only thing that didn't happen is they tried to get the father. The father would come early to the campus and like train them before school. And the guy was like, "Hey, take it easy with this because
right.
they're already
Let's
training
stop
full time."
Right. Let's
Oh,
stop
man.
waking them up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, but that
'cause
guy
they're
was not
training.
evil. He actually came out and spoke against it. He's like, this character, this is not me. Like, this guy's made up completely.
Hey, maybe like don't overwork them.
Right.
Like, let's just get them to the match. What do you say? Like,
He wasn't by
I'm
himself.
grateful, but
All the other, the 2 girls and the father agreed. They're like, yeah, the coach at the school was not evil. That's
Right.
made up for the movie.
I do feel like that was like artificially like put in there to add drama.
it's
to
just
the,
your
like,
typical
final third of the
American
movie.
drama.
Yeah,
that they put in there.
I agree. And if I were to, it's one of my complaints on that movie is that it felt artificial.
Yes.
I don't know if he needed that. You didn't need like the bad guy to
No,
sit
in
there.
fact, I was sitting there being like, "Oh, fucking invite him down to coach already. What's the matter with you? You know, like,
right. Yeah.
stop being such a bitch."
Guido won a bunch of tournaments before the Commonwealth Games. There wasn't like the whole slew of her losing over and over again, so that was also added for dramatic
all right.
purposes.
So that was
That
added.
makes sense.
She never won an
yeah, she
international match
steamrolled people.
until
she steamrolled people.
Right.
Yeah, she just
until she,
destroyed
yeah.
people. That's it.
Yeah.
Which would have been fun too if you just like went into a ring and just punched people out. It would
Yeah,
have
she's
been
like,
like
I learned wrestling in the
I
dirt.
love that. Again, there was something that was so wonderful about the early parts of the film where she was just like, I liked how they handled that. Like she lost that first match to the guy, but then she just started to like she accustomed herself to it and she started to just kick ass, and I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
So it would have been, in a way, it would have been fun to have that keep happening in the international level.
yeah.
But they wanted to make this point of somehow some kind of like complacency of like, we don't need to like, you're just lucky to be here, sort of
Right.
at the international level.
And the last thing was that the father, in reality, was not upset that he had only daughters. It was the mother that was upset.
No.
And it was
Ooh.
because she was sad because she knew that, her daughters were stuck in the same kind of life as she was, which is just to be a housewife. So he was upset.
Yeah. I don't know why this may sound bad. I enjoyed how they like showed the village like having all these like, oh, well, this is what you got to do to get a boy. And they just sort of, it was very comical how they're like, oh, these are all the things you got to do because you got to get a boy. So here's what you got to do. And then when it didn't work out, they're like, and then the village like figured out who was going to be to blame for this failure in not getting a boy. Well, it must be the father who eventually didn't get the boy.
Because that's
that
the
he should have
usual.
gotten.
Yeah,
Right. I thought that was just handled so well. It was just very entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm sorry you didn't enjoy this movie, Denny.
That's okay. I'm certainly going to enjoy next week's movie.
Which is
Oh, yeah?
that now?
Well, first,
Wait,
would you
wait,
put it in the top
wait, wait.
250?
Oh, then I know which one this is because I watched
Yeah.
it already.
Well,
It's this one's what time.
good for
Wait
you.
till
Good for you, TC.
good fucking
For
luck,
once-
Denny.
Yeah,
is all
dude.
I
For
gotta
once,
say.
TC, you have done your homework ahead of time.
Yeah, because I was an idiot and didn't pay attention to the fucking assignment of
Right.
the
Well,
week.
that is also typical.
Yeah,
But
yeah, right.
Still,
Right.
But
right.
TC,
Hey,
would you
sorry,
put
what
this
are we
in-
doing again?
Timmy, would you put
yeah.
this one, Dongle, in the top 250?
A tough one.
How could you say no? You liked it so much.
Yeah. Come on,
'Cause
man.
it's,
This is a movie that
you
this is a
know-
movie that carried you away.
Yeah. I would.
Okay,
I'll put
good.
it
John?
there.
Yeah. Oh, I would. I
Okay,
would.
I would not. Next week, we're going to watch
I
The
know.
Separation, 2011.
Oh man. Oof.
The synopsis
Fun
is-
times.
Wait,
married-
Timmy, do you have any comments on Dangal?
I love the region. All right.
Okay, all right. Fair enough.
I like
Anyway,
it how he
come on,
says
Denny.
goodbye sometimes, like he's done.
Yeah. Right.
A married couple are faced with a difficult decision to improve the life of their child by moving to another country or to stay in Iran and look after a deteriorating parent who has Alzheimer's disease.
Oh,
Iran.
God
Iran,
damn it.
Denny.
This
Iran.
does not sound
Iran.
fun.
Did I say Iran?
Yeah, you did.
Am I an
It's
idiot?
Iran.
Iran.
It's It's Iran.
Iran.
Well,
Yes.
fuck. Next
It's
No.
all right.
It's all good. Just so that we all know.
Chalk it up to your list of failures in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to do some more reading.
It's a
and-
separation,
Word.
really.
Yeah.
Good luck, guys. That's going to be a fun one.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks for
Oh,
listening.
Man. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Go to our website.
Thanks, everybody.
mission250filmcast.com. Like, subscribe on iTunes and podcast
Email
apps.
us if you have questions or complaints.
Sure. Mission250filmcast@gmail.com. Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, if you got complaints, go lay it on us because I'm sure they'll
Yeah.
be all about me. So
I'll forward them straight to TC.
Ah,
so
there
go
you
ahead
go.
and do that.
Yeah. Timmy will read them
Nice.
on the podcast.
Well, yeah,
at some point.
Timmy is our HR.
Yeah.
And also our PR
Oh
person.
boy, we're fucked.
Ooh, we're done.
so
We're toast.
fucked. Yeah. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
Next week.
See you later.
Stop